you believe they made the first Android phone in the US? Their glory came so quick, but so did their fall. HTC once led the mobile phone industry with its beautiful designs and features. The company quickly gained popularity and seemed unbeatable. But how did such a dominant player end up falling so hard? HTC was known for its advanced phones. People looked forward to its new releases, which often set trends. However, HTC had very tough rivals. What caused HTC's decline? Was it one major mistake or a series of problems? Even after its struggles, HTC is still trying to regain its glory and find an alternative way to succeed. This company is trying so hard to stay relevant. Will HTC manage to come back, or will it remain a lesson? In today's documentary, we'll see the ups and downs HTC has been facing all of these years. HTC's rise was the product of bold steps and impressive achievements. Founded in 1997, HTC started as a small Taiwanese company making notebook computers, but it wasn't long before they made a mark with their first handheld devices. In 1998, HTC created a touchscreen device, which was a big step forward. This early push set them on a path to success. In 2008, HTC released the HTC Dream, the first phone to run on Android. This was really huge. People were excited about the new Android operating system, and HTC was at the forefront of this trend. Just a year later, they unveiled the HTC HD2, the first phone with a capacitive touchscreen running Windows Mobile. This phone stood out because it made using touchscreens smooth and intuitive. One interesting feature of the HTC Dream was its slide-out QWERTY keyboard. Unlike many phones at the time, which relied on virtual keyboards, the Dream's physical keyboard allowed for quicker and more accurate typing. The HTC Dream also came with built-in access to Google's apps. Users could easily check their Gmail, use Google Maps, and download apps from the Android marketplace, which later became the Google Play Store. I'm sure to many of you these features seem old school, but at that time they were gold to their users. People would literally do anything to get an HTC phone. In an attempt to increase their sales, they invested in areas far from their core business of smartphones. They bought S3 Graphics, a company that made PC components, hoping it would boost their tech capabilities. Unfortunately, this move didn't lead to profits for HTC. Then, HTC tried to break into the streaming market with investments in OnLive and Saffron. They spent nearly $90 million on these ventures, but neither of them turned out well. One of HTC's most talked about investments was buying a 51% stake in Beats Electronics for $300 million. Initially, this seemed like a good idea, but HTC later sold their stake for just $56 million. A couple of years later, Apple bought Beats for $3 billion. Wait, what? Bad business would be an understatement. This mistake shows how sometimes, even when a company tries to grow, things can go wrong. These decisions make you wonder, could HTC have focused better on their main business instead of spreading themselves? If they had poured their efforts into improving their phones and marketing, might they have stayed ahead in the smartphone race? Instead, their attempts to diversify without solid returns contributed to their downfall. Peter Chow's way of managing HTC played a role in both its success and later troubles. Known for his focus on perfecting details, Chow made sure every HTC product was high quality. His attention to detail helped HTC stand out and achieve success. However, Chow's management had problems too. He often criticized his managers and made decisions on his own, which led to confusion and low morale among the team. This created instability within the company. With so many changes and issues, HTC struggled to stay on track. In 2013, HTC lost key people like their Vice President of Global Communications, Retail Marketing Manager, Director of Digital Marketing, and Product Strategy Manager. Their marketing team was in chaos, and the company in turmoil. Microsoft started to look at HTC as a potential buy, but ended up choosing Nokia instead. When Che Wang, who was the co-founder of HTC, came back as CEO in 2015, she had a lot of issues to tackle. HTC was in much trouble, and she needed to lead the company in a new direction. Wang focused on areas like virtual reality to try and bring HTC back to success. But the road to recovery was tough, and she had to deal with the effect of Chow's earlier decisions. Another factor that both contributed to HTC's rise and fall was its branding and marketing style. The company used the slogan "Quietly Brilliant," hoping their products would get noticed on their own. But did this work out as they hoped? Their branding strategy had some problems. The "Quietly Brilliant" slogan, while trying to show their product quality, didn't help HTC stand out much. They were probably too quiet compared to competitors like Samsung, which used loud advertising to grab attention. This made it harder for HTC to get noticed. HTC's phone names also confused people. With names like Cha-Cha and Salsa, it was hard for customers to remember which was which. Meanwhile, their competitors like Samsung used simpler names like Galaxy, which made it easier for people to recognize their phones. HTC's marketing and branding strategy worked at first, but as competition grew, they needed a better approach, and their failure to change their strategy as the competition increased contributed to their fall. When Apple introduced the iPhone in 2007, a new standard was set for smartphones. The iPhone's sleek design and easy-to-use touchscreen made other phones look outdated. HTC, which was the best in the smartphone market, suddenly had to compete with a device that offered what people expected from phones. Apple's beautiful hardware and user-optimized software made it hard for HTC to keep up. The iPhone's consistent updates and its polished user experience kept HTC on the defensive end. HTC focused mainly on hardware and running different versions of Android, but they struggled to provide user-friendly softwares. As Apple continued to refine the iPhone, HTC found it more challenging to match its pace. Samsung also released a wide range of smartphones at various prices. This allowed Samsung to appeal to many different types of customers, capturing a large share of the market. Samsung's aggressive marketing and rapid release of new features also overshadowed HTC. Samsung also produced many of its spare parts, and this kept costs down, as users could easily repair damaged phones rather than purchase new ones. HTC, relying on external suppliers and facing higher costs, couldn't keep up with the competition. Apple and Samsung built strong brand identities and loyal customer bases, while HTC struggled with less impactful marketing. By 2011, HTC's market share had dropped from 67% to 32%, while Samsung's share increased from 4% to 27%. The next year, Samsung's growth was as high as 300%, and Apple's was 200%. In contrast, HTC's growth only 17%. As HTC's success in the smartphone market started to decline, the company needed a new direction. They chose to focus on emerging technologies instead of phones. HTC turned to virtual reality, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. But why this big change? It's 2024 and HTC are still trying to regain their lost dominance. The HTC U24 Pro, the latest model, was introduced a week ago. The phone has a 6.8-inch curved glass OLED display with a perfect resolution and a nice refresh rate. It runs on the mid-range Snapdragon chipset. It also has a triple rear camera setup with a main camera that has optical image stabilization to keep videos steady. But would all of these features be enough to bring HTC back to the game? Well, I can't say for sure, so we'll have to wait and see. Well, it'll take a sage to see what HTC would be in the coming years. And you know the saying, the higher the rise, the harder the fall.